Here comes a movie just for me came out of nowhere. I don't really know where this kind of came from, but it did catch it recently. Um, so it might come out of nowhere for you too. So let's see what the IMDb plot has to say, and then we can talk about it. A fading celebrity decides to use a black market drug, a cell replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. Okay. Um, yeah, so like I said, first I'll say, this is a new movie, just came out, but apparently here a lot of people have reviewed it, lots of reviews here on IMDb. I should say it's got an 8 score, so lots of people are liking it. Um, it's not a movie that I remember putting on Promote Horror or sharing, so it kind of escaped me at that, and I don't believe I read too much or saw too much about it coming out. What caught me and the reason why I kind of searched it out was I saw, lots of people on Twitter saying, hey, this is a good movie, awesome movie, and some other comments about it. And, because I was like, okay, well, what is this movie? I didn't really have a clue what it was. But people kept saying so many good things that I'm like, okay, yeah, and make sure that I catch this film. Really didn't know what to expect, except a lot of people liked it. Then I find out Demi Moore is in this movie, and I'm like, wow, I don't remember the last time she's done a movie. Maybe she's done one. That doesn't mean she hasn't done one recently, but and I don't remember her doing a horror movie, or at least a horror movie in a long time. It's kind of interesting that to see her name attached to this. I'll talk about a little movie more, then we'll talk about some of the other characters here. The movie kind of starts and you see a very interesting kind of experiment. There's an egg, and then there's an injection in an egg, and then there's another egg, and you're like, okay, now there's 2 eggs here. And I should say cracked open eggs, obviously. You're like, okay, I guess that's the simple experiment here of what's to come. You get introduced in a very interesting way to Demi Moore's character, who recently gotten her name, and you see her name be put on the Walk of Fame there. You get to see a little star and how that's in with her name on it and so forth. Then you get to kind of introduced to her, and she's at the point of her career that she's doing kind of these workout videos, and I guess that's what made her famous and so forth. Didn't really get the gist that what else she had done, but at least at this point of her career, or at least now, she's kind of doing these workout videos and so forth, and you see her kind of exercising, whatever, and kind of reminded me of, and I think some of you might know when you watch this, that other lady who's very actress and did workout videos, whatever. Her name is on the edge of my tongue, and I wanted to look it up before this, but I just didn't, so whatever. Some of you will know who I'm hopefully talking about, but kind of reminded me of her and so forth. So, she's doing this thing, whatever, blah, blah, but she's obviously a little bit older now, whatever, and maybe past her prime a little bit. She accidentally or hears a conversation that Dennis Quaid, he's playing her boss, manager of like the studio or whatever, and he's having this really weird conversation and about kind of getting rid of her and looking for somebody younger. So she kind of hears that, and she kind of takes that to heart, and she's like, what can I do about that? Makes her a little bit depressed and whatever, and she eventually gets in a car crash and survives, and kind of gets injured, survives, and then in the process, there's a guy in the room, and he's one of the last guys to see her, and he kind of gives her a number and so forth as she's leaving. So, you're kind of like, okay, well, what's all that about? A little bit of time goes by and whatever, and she's still kind of feeling the effects of the accident and not feeling good and feeling older and so forth. And she knows that she's going to be replaced here in the studio now. So you got that going on. And, what's she going to do about it? Um, so she calls this number, and very mysteriously, she ends up going to this place, getting a package, coming back to her place, opening it up. It has very specific instructions and all kinds of like needles and chemicals and all this kind of stuff to do. And she has to decide whether she's going to do it or not. I should kind of pause here. I don't think I said it at the beginning, and I usually do. Is to say whether I'm going to do this spoiler free or not. And I kind of debate on it. Of being spoiler free or not. I'm going to try very hard to, and if I feel that I'm getting away from it, I'll let you guys know, because there's a lot to unpack. The later this film kind of goes on. How long is this film? 2.5 hours, or almost 2.5 hours. Okay, it felt like it. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it did feel like a really long movie. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack. So if I feel like I'm reaching spoiler territory or something, I'll let you guys know. But anyway, she decides to go along with this plan. So she kind of gives her this injection. I'm not going to go through the entire process. Things happen. Basically, she ends up on the floor. Her back kind of ends up opening, and you don't get every detail of it. It's not like one by one, but you pretty much they give you a decent gist of another body basically splitting from her, coming out of her. She's still there. It's like in her bathroom or whatever. She's still there on the floor, but a new body has emerged from her, and a younger body. And you do see, as Demi Moore does this, she's there naked in front of the mirror there, and she's doing this. You do, they actually gave this. It's got a rated R thing here, but I I don't know how they get away with some of this stuff. I just did a rant in another review about American showing certain stuff, so I'm not sure how they with everything that eventually happens to this movie. I'm not sure how this really got shown anywhere here, but whatever. That's besides the point. That's kind of a tease to what is to come. But anyway, she's naked there on the floor. She does this stuff. She ends up on the floor. A body basically comes apart from her, and that is kind of where we're at. Then a younger version of her kind of pops out, and she stands up. She's all naked, so if you're interested, you get to see these two women naked. She's a younger version of Demi Moore. The girl's played Margaret something. You'll recognize her from she's in something else very popular. I don't want to butcher her last name, but she's there, and she's kind of at first she's you don't know what to expect. She popped out. She's obviously a younger version of the Demi Moore character. But what does she know? What does she not know? Does she have to learn everything now? What is happening here? But she quickly kind of picks up on things. Quickly kind of picks up that while Demi Moore had a set of instructions to what she had to do in order to have this body split from her, now this younger version of her has a set of instructions on what she has to do in order to kind of stay alive and to keep both of them alive. And she's there, she's alive, whatever, and then she kind of figures out who she's kind of replacing and whatever, and it's a little bit awkward. There's maybe a few things that they kind of just kind of let slide and don't give complete details in, but there's still that connection. There's still something connected between the two. So she basically kind of fills in for Demi Moore without anybody else in the world really knowing she's the younger version of Demi Moore. She eventually goes to the studio, kind of tries out. Like I said, they're looking for a younger version of the Demi Moore character here. She gets the role. She, Dennis Quaid, the manager or whatever, is blown away by her. She gets the role, and now she's the next, exercise queen or whatever, doing these videos and so forth on this channel. So then we kind of this back and forth. So, like I said, there's rules. There's going to be rules to the two. and both of them pretty much have to do the roles because they're connected. So basically, each one of them gets a week to be alive, and then a week to not be alive. So, and there's certain sequences they have to do. I'm not gonna bore you with too much of the specifics. Once you watch the movie, you'll see it. Like I said, they have to give each other shots, and there's things that they have to do between the both of them in order to continue going back and forth and existing. So they do a little bit of the back and forth. The young one goes and she's starting this new career, and then Demi Moore is kind of, she's kind of on the flip side of it. Just because she created a younger version, I guess it didn't quite work out the way she expected. Not really sure what she expected, but really, she doesn't have a job anymore. She's not connected. She really has nothing else going on now. She's kind of an afterthought. The younger one kind of replaced her. So when Demi Moore's there, she kind of sees on TV and sees what's going on and sees the younger one having this success, and she's kind of just left behind. Then it becomes a point where the younger one kind of gets more ambitious and a little bit greedier and wants a little bit more, and you see as she kind of maybe gets off this routine a little bit more. Like I said, there's rules, and she might push the bounds a little bit, and when she does, that kind of hurts Demi Moore and her character. So you kind of begin this road. The movie starts going on this road of the two of them kind of breaking the rules a little bit more and hurting each other in the process, and it gets a little crazier as it goes, and it probably is going to hurt Demi Moore's character a little bit more than the younger version of her. But there's going to be this back and forth as the movie goes on, of them kind of stretching the rules. More the young one doing it than Demi Moore, but Demi Moore has a way to get back at her. There's different ways at which they're kind of messing with each other. Again, I don't get into specifics for you, but I'll kind of leave it at that. There's a lot to say about the back half of this movie. Like I said, I want to keep it spoiler free. I want you guys to enjoy it. I don't really want to ruin it. So what I will say is, if you like body horror, this movie is maybe a definition of body horror. If you're into that and you like that kind of horror, this is definitely a must-see for you. You just can't not see it. If you like body horror and that kind of thing, and you're looking for a list of new movies, you stumble upon this one, and maybe you don't know it. Like I said, I didn't know much about this movie going in. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I knew lots of people seemed to like it, but I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know the plot of it. I knew nothing. If you're listening to this review and everything I've said so far, and you haven't watched the movie, you know a lot more than what I knew going into it. But I will say, obviously you might get a gist of that when I said that the younger one kind of breaks off from Demi Moore. They show a little bit, but not it's not a full. You're not going to see her completely come out of her. You're more going to get the gist that she came out of her. But that's the simple part of it. As the movie goes on, is going to be more body horror and more body horror until a just absolutely, as I think I said, I was talking on Twitter with somebody just earlier today, and they said batshit crazy, and I guess that's a good way to say it, batshit crazy. At the end of this film, that's basically the ending, is batshit crazy. That is a great way to say it. Body horror galore at the end of this movie. Everything you want body horror is at the end of this movie. Leading up to it, there's a good job of it, but at the end of this movie, you're gonna get it. That's kind of the way to explain it. Like I said, the two are gonna bump heads. The two are just gonna make it worse for each other as it goes on, and it just once you kind of think that they've reached a level, and you're like, okay, this is probably as far as this movie's gonna take it, and as far as it's gonna go. Between the two and so forth, and their battle amongst each other, you're kind of like, okay, we're reaching the tipping point. This is where, okay, the movie, I'm watching the clock here. It's gonna end here, and no, body horror is not done. We're going to top everything that we've just done, and we've done some good stuff, but we are going to give it to you at the end in spectacular body horror fashion. If you're not into this kind of horror, this might be too much for you. You might, if you're not into body horror and just, kind of crazy formations of people and whatever, and blood and guts and that kind of stuff, some bizarre stuff is going to happen the further this goes into it. This movie's not for you. So if you're just like, oh, Demi Moore, I want to see her in the movie, blah blah blah, and I remember her from all this other stuff she did, and no, pump the brakes, time out. If you're not really into horror and that kind of stuff, and you're just seeing her name, and I want to see her, then yeah, if that shock on your face is going to be, we need that on social media, the shock of your face. But I credit her for doing this role. She does a fantastic she does a fantastic job. The girl who plays the younger version of her does a fantastic job. And Dennis Quaid is a very unique character as the manager of the channel or whatever. He's definitely an interesting character. All three of them really do a spectacular job. And like I said, the body horror is just out of control. The special effects are really good. Everything they did with it and what happens at the back half of this movie, they really did good. For somebody who likes blood and guts or whatever, there's just a spectacular scene at the end of the movie. You guys know what I like, and if you've watched other reviews and so forth, spectacular one scene. Again, I'm going to leave out the details so you guys can see it, and I don't spoil anything. But just blood, and I'll just say that blood is spilled in a glorious fashion, and I enjoyed every second of that. I don't think I'm really, I'm giving you no specifics on, except for blood. But once you watch the movie, I think you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But just crazy stuff at the end of this movie. So, maybe when you turn it on, you're not sure what to expect and whatever. And, it does, like I said, I knew it was long, whatever, but you don't really feel it. You're just kind of watching this craziness go on. Maybe they could have shortened it up or whatever, but they really just kind of, taking their time to get to this big, bang that they're going to give you at the end of this movie. So yeah, I'm going to go with everybody else that was really enjoyed this movie and on Twitter and saying it's good. I had no expectations. I didn't know what the hell I was watching. And wow, the end of this movie, just wow. Like I said, I thought they had every opportunity to end it. Like, okay, they're going to end this here. And then they're like, no, we are not going to end this here. We are going to push even what we just did, and what, maybe you would have expected. We're going to take it to one more notch, and we're going to give you this. And then even when we give you this, we're just going to give you a little bit more. And then, wow, just, yeah. So with that, I think I'm going to give it 4 pools of blood out of 5. Body horror might not necessarily be my thing and so forth. So maybe I would have given it a little bit more. I'm more, you guys know that I'm more of the slasher and that kind of thing, and those are the kind of movies I like. And whatever. There's nothing wrong with this. As I keep doing these reviews, as we're getting closer and closer to the end of the year, closer to October, and then that's almost the end of horror, and thinking about what movies I want in the top 10, and as we go through this, as I start watching these movies, I'm looking for it. I'm like, what is the movie? I don't know where this stands. I won't be surprised if this is on people's list. So I don't know where this stands for me overall. As I give it 4 pools of blood, I'm thinking, maybe I gave it a little bit more. I don't know. It just. I was amazed. Definitely the ending, was spectacular and what they did, and I really enjoyed it, and enjoyed everything they did, and really didn't expect, what they did here. But I don't know. It's always one of those ways how you feel when a movie ends. And I know the movie that I know is number 1 in my head for the year, it made me feel a certain way, and it drove my emotions a certain way, and that's kind of why it was that way. And when I kind of look at this, I enjoyed it. Spectacular ending, lots of good stuff that I like. I'm not gonna say that body horror is maybe my thing, but everything they did at the end was just crazy, and definitely is horror and so forth. And I really didn't expect it from Demi Moore, and so forth. So, as I give it 4 pools of blood, I'm thinking, could I give it a little bit more? Yeah. Am I gonna give it 5? Probably not. But not to say that it couldn't close that gap or shouldn't close that gap. But I'm gonna give it 4 pools of blood. I'll think real hard, once I've seen everything there is to see, that I can see by the end of the year. But if anything, whether it's on the top 10 or not, it definitely is to be seen, just because of the craziness of the ending. So 4 pools of blood out of 5, and definitely see this movie. Once you've seen the end of the movie, let me know your thoughts. If I ruined you, did the movie ruin you? Did you like it, or maybe it was too much. Maybe you thought, they went way too far. I don't know, whatever. It depends on how you feel. So with that, horrors.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews written in video. Certainly mostly video reviews of late, so feel free to like and subscribe. Do everything that everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook information down below, so feel free to join me there. And obviously in the comment section, again, once you've seen this movie, how is the ending for you? Please let me know. So with that, I guess I'll catch you in the next review, horror fans.